And we're live. Good evening, whiskey brothers and sisters, and welcome to episode 6 of the Canadian Whisky Journey's Whiskey Review. I'm Dolph. I'll be your host tonight, and I'm joined by Blair, Phillips, and Davin de Kergommeaux, the co-authors of this right here, the Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries, the portable expert to over 200 distilleries and the spirits they make. We, ladies and gentlemen, are continuing our Canadian Whisky Journey with a review of this bottle, Stock and Barrel 3 Barrels Whiskey. Davin and Blair, in this article right here, let's just clip it up. In this article right here, we get the sense that you've been to their distillery since they opened 2010. And I believe you've both been there. I know it's closer to where Blair lives than you, Davin, but I think you've both been there. Blair, can you tell us a little bit about the distillery? What struck a chord with you, buddy, when you went there?
It's a cool spot tucked away in this industrial park in northern Toronto. They have this great Christian Carl still that is tarnished just because it's being worked so hard. It's great. It's just a nice little spot. Big distilling room, quite crowded with lots of stuff. They have this great new bottling line. They have a separate warehouse now for aging barrels. It's just a great ambience there. They just really have a lot of fun making spirits, including whiskey. And back in 20, they don't have tons of space to grow. Yeah, but they do have a bitter room. I think they're thinking about putting in another still. I don't know if that's happening this year or next year or what the plan is. But back in 2013, when they released their cask 1, 2, and 3 of their single malts, the lineup was absolutely crazy. It was just great to see that kind of love for a local distillery.
And did you have to stand in that line there, Blair?
Of course.
Or did you kind of cut? You didn't? Okay.
No. I was in there
a little bit. Excuse me.
No.
Well, good. And I'm guessing you got one of each one of them as well, the 1, 2, 3. I never asked you, both you, gentlemen. I know you have a collection of whiskey because you taste a lot of whiskey. But I'm wondering, do you collect bottles for the intent of collecting? I've never asked this question.
No, not really. Any collections I have is just because I haven't gotten it yet. So
okay. Good.
I prefer to enjoy it. Yeah.
It's a working collection. I have a working collection. Almost all of the bottles are open.
All right. Good. And it's a substantial collection. We're going to go on to this. I've got 2 in my hand. So I've got one that's straight the way I like it because it noses better in this glass, and I love the nose on it. After it's been open for about a half an hour, there's a different nose from the initial pour. So this has been open about a half an hour. No, closer to 45 minutes. And then I have the way I like drinking my Canadian whiskey in a rocks glass with a little rocks on it. So that's what I have. And while you, Blair, are taking your first couple sniffs of it, let's ask Davin where he tried this whiskey the first time.
Well, it's kind of funny. I was at the Ottawa Whiskey Show, which is held at the War Museum, a very beautiful location. Lots of ambiance, a big tanks scattered all through the whiskey show, and things like that. And Barry Steen was there, and he had he had a booth with the various Stock and Barrel whiskeys. So I walked over at the end of the show and asked him if he had a good show, and we're talking about various things. And he said, "Oh, I got this bottle. I want to show you. It's going to have a turquoise label." And he pulled out this bottle. It didn't have a label on it. He poured me some. Yeah, and it ended up being this whiskey. And I tasted it, and I said, "Gee, Barry, that's really malty." He said, "It better be. It's got a lot of malt in there." So I guess It's a blend of malt whiskey and then some rye. They make that their own 100% rye, and some corn whiskey as well to make that blend. It's pretty. I was really quite excited. It was probably the best thing of the show, and I didn't taste it until the show was over.
right at the end as you're exiting. When I'm exiting a store, or not a store, but a whiskey show, Davin, I don't remember anything I taste on the way out. So good for you for doing that. And just a bit of background information, 750 mils, 43%, $35 here. I'm guessing just about the same thing for you gentlemen in Ontario. Available throughout Canada, available throughout the States. 3 barrels because, just like Davin said, it's barreled rye and their malt, which is their own. And the corn, do they source the corn or is it their corn? Do you know?
I don't know for sure, but I think they source it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
And your article also says in small batches of 1,000 liters for these ones. So all like traditional Canadian whiskeys in the 3 barrels, the ex-bourbon, matured, and then blended at the end. So what do we think, gentlemen? What do we think? Because I got a lot to say about the nose. I like the nose on this a lot. And so,
go ahead, Blair.
Yeah, they've really bumped up their barley spirit or barley whiskey in this particular release. And the rye, I'm assuming it's a little bit older than some of the other stuff because a lot of those young grassy notes are gone and have been replaced by some classic spices.
Yeah, I don't get the grassy notes so much. I've got toffee, I've got the caramel, and like I've told you before, I have a hard time with both of them, but I differentiating. But I think it's more caramel this time for me, and you do get the wood on it, which is fantastic. And what else do I get? I was going with custard because I think it was coming out in custard.
Yeah,
That's what I think
for sure.
The nice
like creamy
custard.
vanilla.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not tasting the lemon note that I get usually get in their rye whiskey, and I think that the cereal notes from the malt may have just kind of overwritten that a little bit.
Maybe,
but it's because I find it a very really quite malty, and it's got a pretty good punch. And I'm glad that you noticed that it changes after sitting in the glass for half an hour, Dolph.
Yeah.
And not every whiskey does that, but some of them can be very dramatic, and this is one.
Oh, and it was great. And at first, because it's a young whiskey, it's 3, 4, 5 years old. I'm not sure what they have. Although I would like to know how old the rye is, because I'm not getting very much rye, and I can usually differentiate their rye. I can pick their rye blind with other ryes or Canadian ryes. We've done that, and I can pick it out. But I'm not hitting their rye. And you said the grassy notes, Blair, but I'm just not picking up.
I don't get the grassy notes I usually do.
I don't either.
I do get a lot of like citrus peel on the finish though, tons of it.
I could go for that. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I enjoy this a lot, so I could smell it, but it's more than that. So last night was great as I'm sitting, and I was trying to.
I think it's really.
And it got better and better as the time went on. And the custard was towards the end. It wasn't at the beginning. It developed into it because I think it developed into the vanilla, and the vanilla with the caramel seemed to be custardy to me. That's where I went. And I'm happy.
Yep.
And the palate is great. So it's very soft and creamy. And Dr. Don gets mad at me when I say creamy and oily is the same thing. But in my mind, it's creamy, oily, and that's what I get on the palate. So when I first put this in, creamy and oily, which I like a lot.
I find creamy and oily are quite different.
See, you and Don, you just keep getting it. I think I have to have cream, and I've got to get olive oil and just have them side by side and spit it out and just see the difference. But I think soft on the palate, and it's soft.
Yeah, soft. But the creaminess really goes nicely with that custardy note that you're getting.
That's very good. Let's go with that. Let's stick with creamy and custardy. We'll follow the theme. We're good. But I do enjoy this with ice, and I like younger whiskeys with ice. My Canadian whiskeys with ice, just like I like bourbons generally with ice. And I'm not sure why, but it's my preferred method of having it. Not a single malt. I still like single malt straight, and I like single malt room temperature. But my Canadian whiskey. How about you?
I find this whiskey chilled. You get I got a lot of those citrus peel notes right off almost the top. Yeah.
Okay, good.
on the
This one
palate.
not so
Whereas, yeah,
This one a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a good, and the
It's
nose
kinda-
is quite different on both of them. Not just the citrus, but it's a third level on the nose, I'm guessing. So when you
Okay.
chill it, yeah.
You guys have all the citrus notes. I didn't get any.
Well, throw some ice cubes in there, Davin. I think you're going to get it. I think it's pretty
Yeah,
quick.
I'll try that. I like whiskey with ice in the summer outside.
It warmed up. It's only minus 15 today. It's been minus 25, 27 for 2.5 weeks, and minus 15. Everyone's outside walking their dogs. So it feels like a warm thing. I don't know. We get used to certain things here in Canada, right?
Yeah, I know.
How about the finish? What do we get? I'll do this one for the finish. And that's where I get the spice.
Yeah,
is on the
spices
finish.
and a little bit of that cocoa, dry cocoa type flavor.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just enjoyable.
I really liked the whiskey when I tasted it. It was my favorite thing at the show.
Yeah.
Can we pinpoint the type of spice? Now, last week I had a hard time. I was looking for clove, and I think I found it in this one. So I think it's clovey for me.
I get that too. So
okay. And I don't know about you either, both you gentlemen. When you do stuff on the ice, what's the finish like for you? Because the finish is always terribly quick, no matter what type of whiskey it is. So that's why I went to this one for the finish, just the room temperature one.
Yeah,
And it's got a medium finish, medium short, and it changes slightly from the clove to brown sugar.
Yeah, I don't get overly analytical with ice because that's when you're getting into enjoying it for for what it is. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I try, but it's not happening.
Yeah.
I think ice tends to reduce all the flavors, especially the alcohol, but it tends to diminish all the flavors of the whiskey.
And makes it way too easy to drink, to tell you the truth. It goes down way too fast.
I guess that depends on what your goal is.
Well, the goal is to taste it. So this will last me an hour, and just about the same amount that I poured in here will last me 15
seconds.
minutes.
Okay.
So, no, well, the end of this should be gone. So I'm going to go back. Love the nose. Palate, very soft. We're going to stick with creamy to go with the custard, like we said. On the palate, clove, sugar, brown sugar. Did you get very much wood on the palate? I got to go back. I can't remember if it was woody on the palate.
No, not a ton.
No. Okay.
No.
It's just nicely blended into the experience.
Yeah. I don't get the custard on for taste. It's mostly on the nose. Yeah. And I was gonna say leathery at first, but I'm trying to see if I get leathery again. Kind of a leather. Maybe not. I get that with clove. I get it with spice, and I get kind of a leathery note when those come together. But
now, is that boot leather or saddle leather?
it would be like, I don't know the difference. I know I'm a Western boy, but I'm a city boy, Davin. I'm sorry. I don't know. Let's say boot leather, or no, it's not boot leather. It's glove leather.
Glove leather. Okay, I got
leather
it.
gloves.
Yeah,
That's what we like.
So you've never been kicked
I'm
by a horse
perfectly
with a
happy
punch
with
in the face.
everything.
Yeah.
And that brown sugar, is that really more like taffy?
Maybe so. When I taste brown sugar, it's always kind of baking notey as well. So if I get the cloves, I get cinnamon. I usually think of brown sugar, and I don't know if that's just because of baking. And you're kind of used to seeing that combination, so that comes in the head a little bit. So, you got a little comment here from Kent and my lovely wife, and here's Bill. Bill, we're tasting this right here. And we're wrapping it up. So you were a little bit late, but you can go back and rewatch it. That's all right. You and 100 and some other people do that every day. It's good. Not every day, So, gentlemen, I think this is good. I think it's a thumbs up for me. It's for the $30-$35, you can't go wrong with this, especially when you sit there for an hour and enjoy the nose on it, which I did last night and which I'm going to continue tonight after I go upstairs. Oh, and the glass. I just want to say this is where Davin and I met for the first time, was the Banff Whiskey Experience. It's hard to see that on there, but that's the glass I got from there when I met Davin the first time. And I've got the picture with Davin for the first time too. I might as well throw that up. That's where we were. Look at that.
By golly, what a beautiful hat with a beautiful sweater.
Oh, it is. I'm pretty happy with the books I got there signed too. My friends made me stand in line, so I kept 2 of them. That's all right. It's all good. It's my job. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a fantastic night, and we will see you next week. And here, I'll even put the banner up so we can see what's going to happen next week. This is it. We're doing Rupert's Exceptional Canadian Whiskey.
Oh, fabulous.
That is what we're doing next week. So we're doing Canadian whiskeys. This just came on the market. And I didn't say it, but I should have. This was their unofficial 10th year anniversary bottle. I think maybe they were thinking they were going to put something else out, but this came out 10 years after they started. So I'm calling it the unofficial anniversary bottle. Thank you very much, lovely people. And we shall see you all in 1 week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.